Cuffs are off, man. Get right. Too many left in these leagues, but I ain't gonna leave. I'ma get right. Get right. Down to the bottom and scratch it for all the.
Hey everybody, Adam Rank here.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus Grant.
This is AJ Dillon of the Green Bay Packers.
I got to give a shout out to y'all at Get Right Fantasy.
If you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? You want to lose your league?
Our league. Check out the Get Right Fantasy Network.
You got to get right with the Get Right Fantasy Network.
And best of luck with your podcast. Appreciate the support.
And you're tuned in to watch my boys at Get Right Fantasy Network. Get you right. Enjoy the show.
But I tune in every Friday. Strategies provided, I will lock in every way. So go and roll your sleeves up. Yeah, go roll your sleeves up. And I'm getting down cause I roll my sleeves up. And I'm getting right cause I roll my sleeves.
Just rolling the sleeves up a little bit. Gentlemen, what up? What up? What up, world, man? We are back. It is Friday, July 19th. 48 more days until we have week one kickoff. We're here for Friday Night Mocks. I'm with Classic Mike, the one and only. Classic, how are you?
Hey, man. Can't argue. Just finished my Scott Fishbowl draft.
Let's go.
Excited. Finally done with it. Took a minute, but I'm happy that it's all over and that I have my team. I'm ready.
Time to roster bait. On that note, we have the one, the only Mr. Phil Ruskin with the extra point. How you doing, my guy? Welcome to Friday Night Mocks, man. How you doing?
What up, boys? Good, man. Another Friday night. We can't spend it any better way than this.
Yes,
No way, man. Get yourself right. Pour your drinks. Cheers to everybody. Classic. I don't even care what the show sheet says. Let's just bring up the mock. I am ready to get this draft going, man. We'll get into all the other stuff later, but we are doing another redraft mock here tonight. I think we're doing what? One quarterback? What are we even doing? One quarterback, 3 wide receiver, 1 flex,
and half PPR.
Half PPR. So remember that, gentlemen, half PPR. So I'm interested to see in this format with that half PPR, but still 3 wide receiver. You know, it really kind of gives you some flexibility to go there. So I'm excited to see how things like that will pop off. But go ahead, Classic. Take it away. I'm done hearing myself talk now. You tell the people about what we got going on here.
So we got our mock draft tournament starting soon. Qualifying, mocks starting on July 29th, ending with the live stream finale on Friday, August 30th. $50 cash prize and a title of the mock draft champion. Don't we have
a champion in the mock tonight?
Exactly. We have our good friend right here, Rafi Bomb.
What's up, Rafi?
Former champ. That is correct. So be sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Join the sleeper thread that we have in our sleeper channel as well. That link is below. And stay tuned for the mock lobbies to open. We're going to have lobbies open daily. So make sure you guys are ready to go.
Absolutely, man. It's like my favorite time of the year when we do the mock draft tournament, because I feel after we come out of that, after how many mocks that we're looking at, we have such great people in here mocking with us, guys who are, on other channels, and I know it's on me, and I'm taking Breece Hall here, no question. And so by the time that's done, I love starting to answer people's questions when we get into week one, or they're, telling us about their roster, and you can just basically nail what draft pick they had just based on the guys that they have, because you're so ingrained with ADP at that point. So what do you think about that, Phil? You feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing so many best ball drafts. Like there's certain times now where I'm just like, all right, I'm at the end. All right, cool. I can get a pretty solid Chiefs stack out of it. Oh, I'm at the beginning. Cool. I can probably get some correlation with the Niners, and maybe if I want to go early, get Lamar stacked up with Andrews, right? So yeah, you starts to be when you close your eyes, you can still see the board,
Yes.
You're like, I don't know if that's I think that might be where that's a line of not being healthy anymore.
You're already 100 plus best balls in, aren't you?
I'm a couple. Yeah, I'm pretty deep in. So I was actually chatting to a buddy today. Like, I've never been one of those guys that does the full, 150 entries. Like I generally try to stay away from those tournaments.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a cool site out there, Drafters, not a sponsor. If you want to be a sponsor, awesome. I know we got some other stuff going on, obviously, but I've played on there and I had some money left over from last year and I totally forgot about it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, all right. So I'll just jump in and covered half of those, entries already. So I was like, it's kind of like a promo code. So
There you go.
but
There
it's
you
it's been a grind, man. 150 entries, 12 team is
Oh, yeah.
it's no joke. It's a couple
Mhm.
hours every night after work, and I got some squads though, so we'll see what happens, man. See if
Good
I can
luck,
get into
man.
get into those playoffs.
That's what we're trying to do, man. Obviously, I got our boys here at Underdog Fantasy. We got into one of those last week, the fast puppy over there, and I didn't feel great. We drafted at the 12 spot, of course, because we did a live draft, but worse things could have happened.
Oh, of course.
Oh, what are we doing here? Where do we want to go? Half
I don't
PPR.
know,
So
man.
it's interesting
Wide
you talking about
receiver.
that, Rasta, like the 12 spot. We see
Yeah.
Brocal taking 2 running backs here off the board. It's actually not the worst spot to draft from, I'll be honest. I think the 12, like turns obviously at the edges of the board is always where you want to be, but I actually think the back half of the draft has some really interesting ways to build. So I'm curious like 9 through 12, like what that quarter of the board looks like tonight as if we kind of shift into redraft mode.
Yeah.
And
Thank
that's
you
where
for
you're going to see
taking-
some changes. Yeah.
Thank you for taking London away from me for it to make it a lot easier on me.
You're going to go with that Bijan London stack. We all know you're targeting Atlanta this year, big time.
Well, I already, honestly, for Scott Fishbowl, I have Bijan and Drake London. So for me, I'm probably not going to go down that route. But unfortunately, Vince just screwed up my my next plan, so I have to pivot and find a different route. So that should be.
I was thinking Adams there, and so this is where, again, we're talking about making that change in a redraft season, and this is perfect. Again, considering we're coming off best ball and things like that, and obviously with Phil Hill over here at the Extra Point doing a lot of dynasty work here for the channel at Get Right Fantasy. Make sure you guys go drop him a sub. The link's down in the description. So he's always hitting it. Had a great trade show last week, and of course, or just yesterday, not last weekend, just last night.
Yesterday.
It was a great show, man.
Thank you.
So with that said, like making that adjustment coming from Dynasty, into kind of like best ball and then redraft, you have to really kind of let some of those things go and really be able to let your mind really adjust to those settings and the fact that if you're drafting for redraft versus Dynasty and all these things, because of once you start getting really down this rabbit hole, fantasy football, being able to change and be water on the fly is what you need to be able to do. And so Devontae Adams is one of the toughest pieces because obviously, getting into a lot of Dynasty, he's pretty much someone you're kind of staying away from in startups. Like that's what we're covering all, the beginning of the offseason.
Yep.
And now you're looking at a guy who just came off 180 targets.
Yeah.
Like he's only like second to CeeDee Lamb, I think it was.
Yep.
How do you not, like, you're getting this guy in mid-second round? Like, how do you pass on that? Like, even in a bad situation, we're still drafting Jefferson 8 picks ahead of him, and we don't know who is Sam Darnold throwing him the ball. So, O'Connell and Gardner Minshew can't be that bad, right? Mm-hmm. So, I can see eventually Devontae Adams actually kind of making it closer to that 1-2 turn. Like, what do you guys think about that?
I think he's going exactly where he's supposed to go. I don't see him. I mean, you're talking about getting him closer to the end of the first.
Yeah, like, maybe like 4 or 5. I think he can easily creep up 3 or 4 picks.
Maybe
compared to where he went right now.
Yeah, I can see that. But I honestly, I think right around here is the sweet spot. This is where you would kind of want to take him comparatively to feel like you're grabbing somebody you don't need. For having him as the wide receiver 2 for his team, I mean, it's just smart. That makes sense. So I and especially for 3 wide receiver leagues, I don't blame him for going that particular route. I'm upset because I wanted it, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. I can't really do much about it. So, I mean, in this case, he landed where he is. I don't see him going too much farther up. I think he's right around that, and it's all the things that you said before. Ain't no O'Connell, that or Gardner Minshew. I understand he'll get volume, but is it going to be quality volume? And that I think is the biggest question in my mind. you can pepper him 100 times. You can pepper him 100 times, but how many of those
180 times?
No. I'm rounding to make it easier to understand. If you can pepper him 100 times, but how many do you think he's actually, are going to be catchable balls that he will actually be solid with? I mean, what, 75 maybe if he's throwing 100?
I mean, I look at it as number one, the second half of the year. I'm pulling some stats real quick, but the second half of the year is when he was with Aiden O'Connell, and he was not arguably he was. I mean, mathematically, just way much more productive. So, I actually, Rasta, to your thing about him getting to the 1-2 turn, I don't think he gets to the 1-2 turn just because of the ceiling, or the at least perceived ceiling in front of him. But I do think that maybe makes him a value here in the middle of the second. And the other piece I would say is, like, I hear what you're saying, and like Mike, we've talked about this 300. Oh, excuse me, that's a different stat. Apologies, that's the Bill stat. But the target percentage is obviously going to go to Adams. My point is if you look at the season long outcomes, range of outcomes, I see a path where he could finish ahead of Drake London. I see a path where he could finish ahead of Garrett Wilson. So at the end of the year, it may shake out that he probably, as we reprice it, or maybe at the end of the week 4 as we reprice it, maybe he should have been at that 1-2 turn, maybe not. The first couple of weeks will tell us, but I think that's the one thing to consider. Again, is we've been in dynasty mode, we've been in best ball mode. It's ceiling performances for one season. I mean, that's really what we're after in a redraft league, is who's going to give me ultimately the most consistency and who's going to give me the highest scoring points. So yeah, it's really interesting to see it will be interesting to see what's going on with Adams the first couple of weeks of the season, if there's some answers to the quarterback question.
Oh, for sure.
Now, this is the tough spot for me right here. So I feel like I have so many options, pretty much kind of going to go wide receiver, but it's a weird spot. For some reason, George Pickens is kind of screaming out to me here as a wide receiver 3. I think you have some good upside there over someone like T. Higgins. But I honestly don't know how I can really pass up Tank Dell if we want to talk about upside here. So I think I'm going to go with him over Zay Flowers and Diggs here.
Yeah, fair. I was a little disappointed because that's who I was looking for. But I'm not I had 2 guys picked out, and one of them was Dell, and the other one I'm waiting on. But and then
I got Vince.
Vince just said,
"Oops, wrong one."
Oh, you're good. So let's go. I wanted to go back to one of the questions we had here.
Oh, go ahead.
We had John Nickel here. He goes, maybe it's just me, or does round 2 suck this year? All of them seem to be in the same tier for me. How do you guys
lies told? I'll just jump in there and say no lies told on that one. Go ahead, Phil.
No, I was just gonna say I agree. I think to me what I'm evaluating in round 2, because it is a lot of the same, there's a tier break. And so this is the question of, okay, what is my build going to look like? Do I want to pivot? We see Josh Allen coming off the board here.
There it is. Classic.
Taken, right?
That's the other one I was thinking.
Yeah. So do I want to pivot and start to get into the, maybe the overall Josh Allen, right? Some of these guys, that could be the overall Anthony Richardson, could be the overall QB1, Jalen Hurts.
Oh, I saw how you slipped that in there.
You had to, right? Go Gators. But also, or do I want to have a build of, look, it's a 3 wide receiver league. Right. Yeah. So am I just going to load up on receivers, and then I'll kind of take maybe that second tier quarterback? And if I've got Jamar Chase, maybe I want to get an opportunity to get a later round, Joe Burrow to go with him. Right. So get that correlation with the ceiling receiver. So yeah, there's just a lot of different ways you can go. But John, I think you're spot on with the you're splitting hairs to kind of differentiate some of these receivers in here.
Yeah, it feels like just a wide open tier right there. When you come into the second round, it just literally is like, who do you prefer? Because everyone has question marks, but everyone also has a case for upside. So it's just kind of like, which path do you want to take?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you want to go down this, sunny path this way? Do you want this place that's, a little cold with snow, or do you want to go down, this mountain that's just all completely uphill? What do you want to do here? It's like pick your own adventure book in the second round, but it really sets up what you're going to do later. So my biggest thing is I like walking away, depending on where I'm at in the first and second round. I feel like I have to go wide receiver, running back, regardless if it's 2 wide receiver, 3 wide receiver. I feel like I want to at least lock in those 2 positions in the first 2 rounds, and then kind of build off of that. And like we talked about, because we've already done so many of these mocks, you kind of know where, that ADP and the players that are going to be available to you at that point, who you're willing to reach on, who you're willing to pass on. So then you can really start, seeing what your team's going to build out like. But every draft's different. I mean, then that's the biggest thing is when it comes down to it, it's those 11 people that you're drafting with at that time. And we've seen crazy things happen. I mean, we've been in enough leagues to, you could best ball yourself to death and then get in the league and Mahomes goes 103 and you're home. I mean, so that can happen.
That's actually a question I've been saving now that we're late enough in the rounds and the players I want to talk about are off the board. I didn't want to influence the draft by anybody.
Anyone else see it or
wow, Shimi, AR, QB2.
AR going quick.
Yeah.
He heard you.
He did. So, but I wanted to talk about, because we've been in so much best ball mode, right? And I've been obviously doing so much Dynasty. But when you get into a season-long format, I'm curious what your take is, not necessarily who you think will be the highest of these receivers, but how do you deal with the volatility of Houston? How do you deal with, like not knowing who it's going to be each week? Like to me, that's an evaluator. How do you know who it's going to be in Chicago, right? Like there's different wide receiver rooms that on paper they may be the better players and they may be the hot names, but yeah, how do you guys take that when you've got a team, like Houston's the perfect example because there's 3 receivers, a running back, and a tight end. So the receivers, obviously, because we see, look, Collins coming off the board in the second, Tank in the fourth. But how do you guys look at that in a redraft?
Cody says you just pick one to pray.
Yeah,
Classic. What do you think? What do you think?
So, I mean, I it's not wrong. You pick and pray, basically. But I think it's just what you can evaluate through what the OC has done in the past, trying to find the trend, trying to find that one thing that kind of takes that one guy and makes them better than the other, if that makes sense. Like we're getting to one of the guys that I'm looking to pick, so I don't want to get to, say his name out loud. But there is offenses out there. Oh, good, he just went off the board. Thanks, Rafi, for fucking me. So basically, like Chris Godwin, we just heard, like their OC likes to focus a little bit more on the slot receiver, and they're going to be moving Chris Godwin to the slot. If you start seeing those types of trends, or you understand their offense from years ago and see how everything moves. Another guy is AJ Brown. They just brought in Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore focuses on the wide receiver one. If you look at all his teams that he's been a part of as the OC, Devontae Smith isn't really used that much. I'm giving in this particular offense. So it's one of those things where those.
I think he's really ever had 2 good enough wide receivers like he has now, though. I think it's going to be very interesting in that offense.
Kellen Moore
with Devontae and AJ Brown at his disposal.
He had Keenan Allen. I mean, Mike Williams, if you really want to put them in the same boat, but I understand that he gets.
But AJ Brown's going to get his though. So my question though is like with Collins, with the Houston guys, like how do you? I mean, I get it. Like it is. It's kind of
Collins is my guy.
Okay.
I like Collins more. He showed what he could do when he was out on the field. He played well. He's the bigger receiver. He was his air yardage and so many other things just put into all wrapped into one. He did very well against everybody. I feel a little bit stronger about it. Dell, I don't mind at all. I thought he did very well, but he had a lot of boom bust type games that made
you killing me.
Oh, that made it very difficult for me to actually say Tank Dell's my guy. Now, I love Diggs too, but he's a little long in the tooth, and I think he can help out on certain plays to kind of mix things up a little bit. But I don't see him being the full target share guy. I think it's going to lean a little bit more on Nico to be that particular receiver. So,
yeah, it's hard. You know what I mean? Like it's just,
it definitely is.
When I'm looking at the board here, right, and I'm not drafting tonight, so this is kind of fun for me because I'm constantly scanning the board and starting to look at
This is a weird spot right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just
any of these picks.
It's interesting to look at a player like Mike Evans, couple picks later, still the alpha in his offense. You don't want Mike Evans in Dynasty, and in best ball, it's going to be fine. He'll have, but I'm because like Mike, you actually made me think of this question because you're the safety security. Like we were talking about you yesterday, like give me CJ Stroud. I'm like, give me Anthony Richardson, right? Like I get it. I want the upside. So it's interesting because Mike Evans, like, is he going to be a better player for your redraft team? He's going to finish ahead of one of the Houston wide receivers. He might finish ahead of 2. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't know. I'm not saying it's a bad pick. I'm just, to me, there's certain situations where there's all many. You want the quarterback. Like, well, like, who do you want in Green Bay? You want Jordan Love. Because, like, you don't. There's 5 receivers that are legitimately potentially going to play and have a role in the 4 receivers. They have a role in the offense. It's tough, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I think there's certain things as you get into these later rounds and you start to look at players like, I'm not a big George Pickens guy, but there is nobody else in Pittsburgh. He's going to get targets. I'm not a big Deontay Johnson guy. There's not a whole lot else. Like, there's rookies and Adam Thielen. Like, Deontay Johnson should get targets. He should get volume. So it's just some of the players that you're not always in on can have a good season.
Right.
Redraft's very different.
Yeah, and I totally messed up with the Dak Prescott pick. I was trying to go David Montgomery there. I had him kind of both in my queue. So I feel kind of stupid for that part, but hey, it's a mock, so things happen.
Things happen.
And who knows? Maybe I get David Montgomery on the way back. So we'll see.
Hey man, I got T. Higgins from the Josh Allen pick, and I didn't think he'd fall to the next round.
There you go.
So definitely could be there.
Little tight end run here. Nice to get Andrews in the late 5th here for me. I like that part, but yeah, after like I haven't been what's up, Albert? That's the guy right there. I haven't been stunned like that, like from a snipe like that in a long time. So credit to JWN 71, my boy John here. Because that was probably one of the worst snipes I've had. Like usually I'm always like, I always got 2 guys I'm ready to go to. But right there in redraft and considering the builds, and it's not best ball, and I'm not trying to like do anything crazy, just like draft best player available. It was literally between David Montgomery and Kyle Pitts, but I already had Andrews.
Yeah.
So then I'm thinking like I messed up. So I was like, do I go bully tight end? I never go bully tight end. I can't do that. And then I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go David Montgomery, and then I accidentally took him. So we'll see.
See, this is really funny because Vince is saying Classic has sniped me 3 times and Rasta twice. Leave me alone.
Oh, you're right in between us. That's a bad spot.
Well, he's right between. Yeah, and on top of that, he's sniped me at least 2-3 times. So this is just how it goes. You got me on
City.
You got me on Adams. So enjoy those 2 picks a lot.
Nice.
Oh man,
very nice.
I mean, but this is why I love doing what we do here. It's one of the things where we're going against real people that know what they're talking about. We can actually have good, solid drafts where, if I was in this league, I can go, I can kind of see how this would work out. I hate getting autos and things like that where we can't really fully tell what's going on for, certain teams. So for me, I love getting sniped a little bit just because it's one of those things where it makes me have to pivot and it teaches me to go, oh, don't worry about it. Move on,
Yeah.
So,
I literally already took a screenshot of that like player availability at each position right there. Like, so I'm going to literally go back after this and study that because like, if I'm on a clock in that situation and that happens, I need to know what I need to do there. That was like, we've done how many mock drafts already so far this year? Yeah. That was the least comfortable I've honestly been in a pick in a long time. I'm like still recovering. Like I'm like full on tilt right now. Oh man.
Well,
now I don't know what to do because now I'm sitting here with Dak. But
so
what can we do here?
I mean, Montgomery didn't get back to you.
No, that was never going to happen. But
I knew it was going to happen.
There's options.
Me sniping DJ, huh? How long have you guys been watching this show to know that if he's available in a certain round, he's pretty much going?
Yeah, and that certain round, quote unquote, was the 5th last year. So him getting him in the 7th here right now is like, there's no way he's passing on him again.
Oh God, no! Did I really take him in the 5th last year in that league?
Yeah, you did.
You know why? I took him.
See, right here, this is an easy Jordan Addison pick for me here, even last round.
Yeah,
but because of the situation, that's what also got me on tilt right there. And those things are going to happen. Like, there's going to be 4 or 5 other guys in this. So many picks we pick right now that are just going to be gone. So those guys are going to be like out of here, and we're going to still have to adjust, man. That's why I love this doing this thing here, man. So I'm just going to say. At this point, let me just take my chances with Rome.
Nice.
Yeah.
And see what happens,
See, and that's
Don't need to
another-
have him start right away.
Yeah,
There
and
goes John with Addison
he
right
goes
behind.
right there. See, and that's a question I have for you guys. So right here, Rafi goes, the last round, I could have reached last round, but couldn't pass on Lad. All right. In that particular offense, you have these two guys. You got Deontay Johnson, who's more than likely the one, and then Lad going to be probably what, 2, 3 on the list.
Well, they just announced today that DJ Chark is one of the starters, so it's going to be DJ Chark, Palmer,
go.
and Ladd. It looks like so.
It's one of those things where one, DJ Chark is a huge value because he's barely being drafted. Two, at this point, would you want to have McConkey this high? Is it worth it?
I mean, considering he's his wide receiver 3 when he already has Taylor Etienne, Laporta, I mean, I don't see why not.
You don't hate it?
I don't hate it.
Yeah. And worst case, like you can draft some guys here later. Like you can literally and that's the thing too that people have to understand. Just because you draft the first 3 wide receivers don't need to be the ones that you actually are starting. You could take Brandon Cooks like later and see what happens with Lad week 1 and just play Brandon Cooks. Like you're probably going to be good for 4 for 60, like 10 points. Like, all right, wide receiver 3, that's okay. You know what I mean? So like there's still guys you can take later that can actually start for you week 1, but like you've had to invest higher in these other guys because of the potential upside that's there, right? I mean, that's draft value for you.
I did it in our last draft. I took Brooks, and then I was like, he's not going to play for at least first month.
Right.
So, and
Perfect
then I came back and took, I took Gus. So I was like, I had to take a hero RB. I forget who it was, but I knew I had someone solidified in my RB1.
Right.
I did my normal build, receiver until they're all out.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'll get Brooks and come back with Gus, and Gus will play until hopefully Brooks is ready. So yeah.
Right.
And that, those are some of the guys that I'm like, I can't be on. Like guys like Jonathan Brooks, guys like TJ Hawkinson, like I can't get behind doing that type of standard. Right? Yeah, in redraft I can. Like I can do it in Dynasty, that makes complete sense, but it's because you can hold on to him after the fact. If you're doing that in redraft, you have to have a solid, solid backups behind, or at least having him be your running back 3 or something like that, to at least, get all the way to the end of the season. So
I mean, you can take him in best ball. That's the whole point, right? Second half of the year, comes back, he's healthy. Full.
Best ball is a whole different animal,
different story. So
yeah,
it's. I mean, redraft is.
Speaking of Brooks, there he goes. Vince is like, we're not letting him go past. Now that they're talking about him, I gotta take him. I gotta take him. He's like, damn,
here having heart palpitations, hoping that this didn't happen because I wanted this of all things. So
of course, that Alan Coleman.
Alan Coleman's stack is just.
And in the 8th round, it's good value. You know what I mean? Like
for sure.
If you're wide receiver 4 with Debo, Higgins, and DJ, you're solid there. You're solid.
And it's kind of funny. I did a best ball, one of the Scotty Fish satellite ones that I did like 30 of them. And basically one of the ones I did recently, I ended up getting the Allen Kincaid Coleman stack. And I'm just like, holy crap, how did that happen?
That's a nice stack to have.
Right?
I'm
excited. So Ethan goes, I'm fairly certain Palmer is going to be playing the X receiver, assuming Lad will play more slot. Yeah, I agree with that too. I think Palmer is going to be the lead guy for the Chargers, and they're going to have Chark out there too. Don't forget about Hayden Hurst. He's also there.
Late.
Yeah. He can be involved.
Do we just have an auto?
No.
Yeah.
What?
Janky.
Oh, Janky. No.
Come back, my guy.
Maybe lost his internet or something.
Yeah, that happens. Oh, even Rafi
give him the benefit of the doubt.
Get him back.
No one likes it. And
you got it. All right,
I just talked all about it.
That's all right.
This normally doesn't happen.
Occasionally. But while we're doing that, speaking of Ethan, our boy here, who also said he's a Chargers fan, he forgot he had signed DJ Chark. So that's why we're here with you guys. Okay. But I just wanted to shout out, his article that we just dropped on Get Right Fantasy or GetRightFF.com. slash articles. You don't have a clue when to draft a quarterback. So go check out his article. Talks about, waiting to those later quarterbacks. So make sure you guys go check it out. And it's really good stuff, man. Good research, good numbers. Has some graphs and charts in there with a ton of stats that back up what he's saying. So it's really good stuff. I just want to give him a shout out and appreciate him sending that article to us to put it on the site. So yeah. So make sure you guys go check it out. So go ahead. Where are we at? Had to give my boy a little shout out there.
Okay. Oh,
all right. Jenky's back. Jenky's back.
He came back.
Man after my own heart. Data and metrics need to sync up.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so you're just checking it out right now, huh? See,
Ethan,
this is how it works.
I'm also a writer. We need to sync up, my guy.
Yeah, so I'm
skimming through. All right, well,
hey, this dude not have some great conversations. Actually, he's the commissioner of that redraft auction league that I'm trying to talk you to into joining. So if you want to come in there with them,
wait, hold on, pause.
Let us know.
You didn't tell me it was auction.
Yeah.
Yes, auction. That's why I was surprised you passed it up.
I'm in.
Or tentatively. You kind of said, whatever. So yeah, there you go. So that's our boy.
I maybe forgot that minor detail, which is
okay. Yeah, I was like auction. I was like for sure Phil's in. And then he was like, I'll think about it. I'm getting close to the limit. We all got to draw the line somewhere. Yeah. But yeah, man. So make sure you guys hit him up, dude. Some of the great conversations that he and I have in DM. Just great stuff, man. He's always talking football, knows his shit. Love getting in mocks with him and doing a bunch of stuff. So yeah. So Vince says, someone said auction, sign me up. Hey, Ethan, there you go. Shoot Vince an invite, man. Let's get him in the league.
Let's go.
So I'm excited, man. So there we go. Drop your sleeper handle, Vince, in the chat if you don't mind. If not, just obviously Ethan dropped his, send him a DM and he'll get you in. So we're looking for 5 more.
That's just, and don't forget, you can change it to just the one.
Just the one. I got you. I'm going to clean it up right now. I did the same thing earlier too when I dropped that in there, so I had to do it. We're growing now, man. These are growing pains that we're going through here. We got it.
It's the same thing. I saw it the other day. I was like, we got to change that.
Oh yeah, no, it's just Vince.
I always forget to do it. Like right in the beginning.
Yeah. After the first one you let off, then it's like, okay, let me fix that. So Ethan, he's at the 107 here. It's just Vince Mastapone in there. So go ahead and shoot it over to him to get in that redraft league. So anybody else, man, if you guys are interested, there's a little buy and we'll get you all the little details there. So if you're interested, hit up Ethan or myself, and we'll see if we can get you in. I think we have 5 more spots. So Classic's thinking about it. He wanted to do a dynasty. He wants to get in dynasty. So we'll see.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I had to jump out of a toxic startup dynasty league, unfortunately. So
ooh.
Oh, okay. So Janky said that's
I just
who
saw
he wanted. So I guess he only has a couple seconds. Hopefully he can. I know that it's different on the show where it says time up, but honestly, they need to change this. That's the one thing that they need to change their website one, because it says time's up, but it's really not. Like he has another 5 seconds, but yeah. Fill that queue, man. Just make sure you guys fill your queue. That's the best thing you can do.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell him that. I just told him to close and reopen his app.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that happens from time to time, man.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
That's not too bad.
And to be fair, I think that's who he was taking anyway. I think he had him in his queue because he was a little lower on that list. So I think that all worked out just fine.
There we go. So going back to that Green Bay offense and kind of Tank Dell, I never really got to give my 2 cents on that. Kind of been spewing on it, taking a little extra time to think about it.
A little?
Just a little. I mean, that was like 30 minutes ago, and I'm still thinking about it. I had to recover from that snipe. Like that was
that
brutal.
Stung you, man, huh?
It really did. I honestly haven't been like that in a while. I'll take a little Zach Moss here right here. So for me, obviously it's Tank, just because I feel like he's at the better value, where you can get him, and just his potential upside, position he's playing, and the type of targets he gets. Again, he's like he fits my fantasy football personality, like you're saying. You kind of draft teams with you go for guys that, for me, I'm like, win me a week or just don't do anything. Like I hate these like mediocre in the middle positions that are kind of like, well, if you just had a touchdown or you just had 4 more catches, like
Right.
I'm like, just give me nothing, like or anything, or just win me the week. And so like I like to fill my team with a lot of guys that can just win you a week, per se. So we'll see what happens. And then I kind of did the same thing again with Christian Watson. He seems to be the guy that I'm going after in that Green Bay offense. I think Jalen Reed is a little too expensive, or has been at least in best ball. But when I go, for who can just give you that touchdown upside, and especially like in a half PPR like this, like give me Christian Watson, man. Let's hope these hamstring things he figured out, and it's been 2 years, and maybe it's that Christian McCaffrey thing, and you're getting him at a discount because this guy would easily be right up in there in that second round if he was who he was his rookie year. Like he would literally be right in that second round with the Drake Londons or even maybe even ahead. Like he might be up there with that top tier. Okay, just a little bit.
Okay, yeah. I was like, this sounds familiar.
Oh, I mean, we do think alike. Honestly, I didn't hear that take from you, but we do think very, very similar. So where are we at here? Yeah, see, and this is the same.
I already know where you're going.
So,
was
that it?
No.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay, so he's actually someone who I'm starting to really get excited about.
Okay.
Like,
I know you talked about it.
That might be coming from Phil.
There's been seats on this train. Get aboard.
Yes. So, like, my whole thing is like, again, I keep forgetting, like, he ran the 3rd fastest combine. This dude is built 6'2". Like, he's that prototypical wide receiver 1 that we're talking about, even more so than Pittman, right? So, like, he can fit that X role. And with Anthony Richardson, like, they have to kind of stack the box with JT in that run game. Like, he's going to have his opportunities to freaking have some big play capability. Yep. So, like, where you're getting him, like, he's basically free. He's my wide receiver 5 and a 3 wide receiver. Oh, it's 6 actually.
6,
yeah.
Even better.
Yeah. So even better, right? Like, I was okay with him as my 5. And so, like, to me, the potential upside there in that offense, playing in a dome, you're considering all these things. Like, to me, it's just an upside shot that I keep, when I'm looking at this group of wide receivers in this range, like his name just keeps sticking out to me, and I keep hitting that draft button. So where are you guys at on AD Mitchell?
I mean, I'm sorry, Classic.
You already know. I already know what he thinks.
I mean, look, I get it. He took some plays off at Texas, and we all watched games. We watched it happen last year with the Steelers where George Pickens literally did not block a player and then went in a press conference and said, I didn't want to get injured.
Yeah.
So don't tell me that a kid that took some plays off in college is not going to succeed at the NFL level. Does he have stuff to work on? Of course. Is he a rookie? Yes. There are holes in the profile.
Right.
Maybe don't take as many shares in Dynasty if you're scared of it, right? Don't invest do what you need to do to hedge your bets. But in a best ball league, give me all the shares I can get, right? In a redraft league, is your wide receiver 6?
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Give me all the shares I can get. It's free. Like,
essentially.
What if it hit? Here's the thing. Everyone wants to shit on it. Oh, it's a terrible pick. And you know what? It was your 10th round pick. So if it's a terrible pick, great. You'll cut him and you'll move on and sign the hot guy off the waiver wire. If it hits, you'll never get him at this price again. He'll be in the 8th round, 6th round, 5th round.
I got Nico last year in the 10th round, and
there you go.
Many places.
Exactly.
I got CeeDee Lamb his rookie year in the 9th round.
Yeah,
right.
Like,
I got Chase in a keeper league in the 7th round.
I got CD in a keeper league. So yeah, same thing. So it's like Justin Jefferson went in the 10th round in a keeper league. It can
happen.
It can happen.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, I see the road that it could take. I mean, he's definitely not going to be in that X spot. I mean, that's Pittman until further notice.
Of course.
Could he slide to the outside? Of course. But I think they're going to try to use him a little more inside, have Alec Pierce on the outside, and have him play more slot. That's what I see him being, but he'll be either 2 or 3 in that.
So where's Downs? Do you think he plays Downs off the field then? Because to me, I have it Pittman, Mitchell, Downs.
That's how I have it.
Interesting.
So I have Pierce on the bench.
Yeah, I have Pierce on the outside. I have Pittman at the X and Downs in the slot.
I think the writing was kind of on the wall last year when they drafted Downs. I was like, ooh, that's kind of a Pierce replacement right off. That was my initial gut reaction to it anyway.
Interesting.
So yeah, I think Mitchell. The other thing you have to remember is Anthony Richardson's young. He's still figuring it out. Mitchell's still obviously never played a snap. So like it's gonna be bumpy. It's gonna be a wild, rocky ride. Yeah. But again, wide receiver 6, Rasta, sit him on your bench for 6 weeks. And then if it's, if you have to cut him, fine, cut him. But like, What if he's a second half league winner? What
Mm-hmm.
if Michael Pittman
ARSP.
is not? What if Michael Pittman is not available for a specific? You know what I mean? Like Anthony Richardson can throw it out of the building. So if the kid can get underneath it, and that's what Xavier Worthy's going to do, and Mitchell's not that much slower, let Richardson take a shot.
Yeah, it's fair.
Mm-hmm.
It's
and I mean, he has a cannon, and remember what we're all saying in his first couple of games too. It was like he can actually throw.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I don't think if people remember, he only played like 3 full games, but like we were all stunned on his actual passing prowess. Like he didn't throw for a ton of yards, but as far as the individual throws, he didn't look like he didn't know what he was doing.
The problem is he's really, really young coming out of school, and he played. I grew up in Gainesville, Florida. I'm a Gator fan. That is well documented. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the fact that he played on a dog shit college football team. I mean, Ricky Pearsall was like the only player on that team on the offense other than Richardson that's even sniffed the pros.
Did he have? Wait, didn't he have Tony too?
No. Tony was there long before. Yeah, Tony. Excuse me.
Okay.
Kadarius Toney was there, but not with Richardson. So he was already dropping passes from Patrick Mahomes. And Richardson was playing. He was like, oh shoot, I shouldn't have had that popcorn.
Hey, see, hey, you said Sticky Ricky and Shia LaBeouf over there grabbed him real quick.
No doubt. Yeah, Rasta, you and I haven't had a chance to even talk about that, man. It's Ayuk. So I think the Niners have Ayuk by the balls.
They kind of do.
Like he can't go anywhere, and they don't have to trade him, and they can tag him, and he's still got a year before they even have to tag him.
That's the thing is like people don't understand. Like he literally can still be tagged after this.
You better stop pissing people off because they may just decide not to throw you the ball. I don't know. It's what do you think, man?
Remember, Shanny already put Ayuk in the doghouse.
I remember.
I remember. We remember for sure.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
It wasn't this past season. It was year before last. So it's not like he's been that far removed. Yeah, man. It's funny, like watching receiver, because you get the George and the Debo side of it, and then you're just like, is BA just grumpy all the time? Like, is he just a grumpy dude? You know what I mean? Like, if he's not getting the ball, is he just like not a good teammate, not fun to be around? I don't know.
Remember the path that it got him there. Like he wasn't even really recruited out of college. Like he wasn't going anywhere close. And he went to where'd he go? He went to Florida State or Arizona State. There we go. And I mean, that's the only. And when he was playing with Jaden Daniels, that's the only time he even was relevant. So,
that's when he says he wants to go. I mean,
understood. But that's the whole. That's kind of where I'm going with it. Is at this point, I mean, there's not much you can really do. He's going to have to stay. They're going to have to, they're going to try to give him a contract. I mean, they did the same thing with Debo. They did the same thing with Robbie Gould.
And the Niners end up paying their guys.
Yeah, they'll pay them. And it's just going to take a minute. And even if he gets the average next year with franchise tag, it's incredibly high because they just bumped up wide receiver. So at this point, I mean, why wouldn't you just deal with the next 2 years and be like, oh, I'm going to be on a championship team for the next 2 years? Like,
I mean, I get the security of the contract. It's number one, it's the safety of the guaranteed money, and number two, it's the ego of what it says about you. And I get that piece of it. I get both sides of it. But I'll say
you're talking about alphas of alphas, man. Like that's a mindset that some of us average Joes just we're not in that. Like we're just not there.
And that's the thing, right? Like the best thing that Brandon Ayuk can do right now is play his ass off and just ball out because it's only going to be.
Think about some of the catches he made last year, bro.
I'm saying he's not
the catch against Detroit, the catch against Green Bay were so.
If you want your money,
and then why did we only target him 6 times in the Super Bowl? Like, what's going on?
Kyle Shanahan, man.
God,
Kyle Shanahan. I mean, we've seen it even before he was there. So,
God,
yeah.
Oh, Kravitz. Stealing my guy, Jaleel McLaughlin, like my number 1 drafted guy in underdog best ball.
Well, that's
my guy. Hey, if he has a good year, him and Conklin, your boy's making money this year.
Yeah.
I don't have a ton of
him and Conklin.
Yeah, those are like my 2 top drafted guys.
Dart throws.
Yeah, like late in rounds where I'm just like, if I'm in a certain spot, then those are my 2 guys.
I asked Kendall this last night on the show. I'm gonna ask you guys. Who do you think my highest exposure player is in best ball right now?
Mitchell?
No, okay. No. Good guess though. I like what you did there.
Man.
He goes.
I'm trying to think of the stacks because you've been talking about a lot of stacks.
You have to. I'll give you a hint.
Is it a quarterback?
You have to think ridiculous value.
Oh,
So if you think that's why I said highest exposure player. It's not the player that like I'm the
Right,
highest
right,
owners.
right.
It's your free pick you just got there. Basically, it's just not Mitchell. And it's best ball, not redraft.
Well, I know it's not Xavier Worthy.
It's not Xavier Worthy. Although I'll be honest, man, I've been rising on him in best ball a lot over this last couple weeks. A lot, yeah, in best ball.
Well, just because of those stacks, like you're saying,
Yeah,
you can
I mean,
just get him.
I mean, and if there's any sort of suspension with Rashee Rice, it just helps Worthy because it's
So
just
is it a
him and Kelsey.
rookie?
Yes, it's a rookie.
And is it a wide receiver?
Of course, it's a wide. Come on,
Is it Keon Coleman?
It's Coleman.
Close.
Yeah, I was going to say
close.
Coleman.
It's not actually. I actually don't have as
Lad
much as I thought.
No, because he would be
No.
even more expensive.
No.
Dunze? No.
Go the other way.
Troy
the other way.
Franklin?
No, it's not Leggett, is it?
Nope.
I was going to
You're
say
getting closer
that was
though.
my
You're
next.
getting real close.
Then Brian Thomas?
No,
Roman
that's
Wilson.
higher. Who?
Roman Wilson.
Oh, yes.
Why?
You are
Please
Roman
tell
Wilson.
me why.
Because there has to be somebody
there
else
has to be
outside of
somebody
George
else.
Pickens to catch balls.
There
A
has
lot
to
of
be.
people think it's Pat Fairmouth, which is good,
Sure.
but you still need that other wide receiver to work the middle of the. I mean, the middle and everything's going to be wide open if they're going to be running Pickens like he does.
We've
So
seen
Cody
Van
got
Jefferson.
it.
We've seen Van Jefferson.
Cody got it well before his.
Oh, good job, Cody.
Yeah.
Good job. I didn't see that. I have the
Nailed
full
it.
screen up tonight.
No, it's okay.
there you go.
He didn't say who it was. He
Oh,
just said he knew.
let's
who
do it.
was. Yeah.
I mean,
We'll take him for you right there.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, here's my 30 seconds on Roman Wilson.
Give it to him.
It's Arthur Smith, so you just don't know what's going to happen.
Mhm.
He could end up, using a 15,000 rookie running backs and all these. It's chaos there. So very simply for Roman Wilson, I think he's a good player. I think he's going to have a path over to beat Van Jefferson out of the number 2 job. Pickens has his role solidified, and I think there'll be a lot of targets. It's something like they have to throw it to somebody. And if you're telling me Pickens is, no offense, probably the only guy on the roster that can beat you, he might see some looks where he's open. So yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
It's free. It's like take a chance.
Fair.
Like, especially in a redraft league, like if Roman Wilson on that last pick of your roster sucks after 2 weeks, fucking cut him and just go get a guy off the waiver wire.
See, I grabbed him.
5'11", 185, 439, 40.
But if a player, I don't remember who it was, but someone asked the question about McConkey earlier tonight, and we said, we see him kind of further down the chart. Like,
Yeah.
that's an expensive investment that kind of has to pay off to justify that draft cost, right? Like Roman Wilson, AD Mitchell,
Like famous Jay.
I think Jahan Dotson's a screaming value in drafts this year because we've actually seen him do it. And he is a starter, and we do think Jane Daniels is a good quarterback. So that one's a whole lot safer. And that's where is Dotson? I just lost him in the 11th round. That's great pick there. Whoever
He was easily going in this 6-7 last
Great
year
pick
is
for
where I
him.
was taking him. I was big on Dotson last year, and that did not work out very well.
No, and it may be painful for a little while Jaden Daniels gets his feet under him and his arm ready. But if it works, it's the second half of the year when you're actually trying to make a playoff run. It's a good pick.
There it is. Interesting.
Who are late? Because now that we're towards the end of the draft, who are some of the guys that you guys are targeting late that you think, hey, you know what? This is my couple dart throws. I think could have some real points for me.
J.K. Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins, really? You're back in on Dobbins.
I was big on him last year. I mean, we've seen, and the thing that makes me believe it is when healthy, he was beating out Gus Edwards.
Yeah, he was.
And it's the same coordinator that he beat him out with.
Yeah.
And it's the same offense.
But it's
so like, to me, it's like, okay, where I'm getting him is essentially free, especially in a hero or 0 RB build.
Yeah.
And to bet on the guy, again, it's super late. So if he isn't the same guy, obviously after the ACL and the Achilles, then he's gone. But like, even when we see him come back, then he had to leave again, get the knee drained or whatever, get it fixed up. But then when he came back for that short stint, man, he was balling. I mean, he was doing real good, which is what made me excited about him heading into that next year.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't draft, I didn't invest in him there because, obviously I never go for guys coming off the ACL. Sometimes it works, a la Javonte Williams, and sometimes it doesn't, a la Breece Hall. Right. So, but to me, now I'm back on Breece, right? Obviously, I took him first round this year. It doesn't affect it now. I've seen it. So I feel comfortable investing that high and picking him. So that's kind of where I'm at.
So are you? Is it a bet against Vidal, or are you just out? You just rather bet on what you're
I just still think, like, again, at least out of the gate, and it's more so also based on my builds and that hero RB build. I'm just worried about like weeks 1 like through 3, maybe 4 or 5. And I honestly think if he comes and has a good showing in preseason, like he's going to enter the season week 1 as the starter and or as the main back, because it'll be a split, I think.
Yeah.
But for the, even if it's 50-50, JK to me has more explosive power, and he's a better pass catcher as well. So
yeah,
we'll see what, especially in a half or full PPR. I like it.
So the one thing that I was listening to Sirius XM on the way home, and they were talking to one of the beat writers for the Chargers. And the one thing that they've noticed in camp, and the one thing that they noticed with this particular backfield as a whole, Gus is definitely the main guy. They've already said it. He's going to be carrying the ball. He's the guy.
Yep.
Vidal is the one guy on the team that everyone is excited about, that he keeps on coming up. And the one thing that keeps on being talked about is the fact that he can pass block. And most guys out of college are, especially running backs, they're not great at pass blocking because they're not asked to. They're usually asked to actually, run out and catch the ball, or, they're not really in on pass blocking. He was actually really good at it in college, and he's actually really good at it now. So for me, I have a strange feeling that he can do very well and probably be that running back too that you can steal at the end of drafts, and he's gonna be involved early. So as much I do like J.K. Dobbins, I have him in a few places, but it's more of a you
had him in a few places, so you still have him.
Well, yeah. But shit like Shimi here, who has him as his running back 1, 2, 3, 4,
17.
5. Yeah, he's got him right. So, that's the whole point. So for someone like that, for that pick, he could turn into somebody that can be somebody very, vital to your team. So in that backfield, it's Gus Vidal and then J.K. Dobbins. If I'm going,
I'm out on Dobbins, and I'm okay being wrong. It's just one of those like I'll eat the L,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and again, to me, I like it too. It's just an easy guy to cut. No, I mean, and that's the thing too, is like if it doesn't work, boom, he's gone, and I'm replacing him. So like,
want it to work.
I hate having guys that you're like, because I always feel like because we play Dynasty and what our research, because we do this, our outlook for a lot of these rookies, I always feel like sometimes I'm such a year early when it comes to redraft. Like before I got into Dynasty, I always felt I was a year early on guys.
Yeah.
Like, but next year, you know what I mean? So like, that's why I enjoy playing Dynasty now, because you're like, all right, I got him, and that pays off.
You hold off.
And so, you're able to hold on to him. But in redraft, I feel like I always get these guys where it's like, all right, well, if he pops off, like I don't want to drop him after week 6 and then boom, he goes off. You're in it for the long haul. So like, I just feel like I got to trust my draft and my instincts and my research and play the long-term game instead of playing that. Let me just get the hot guy off the waiver wire this week and hope he's a Puka or a Kyron Williams, right?
Yeah, I got some guys actually coming on the show this week. Which, by the way, guys, if you're in here, sorry, Shane.
Shout out.
Well, I know guys are going to start dropping off. So, if you're in here, jump on. I am the Extra Point. You can find me on YouTube, 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern, every Thursday night. If you're also looking for some audio content on the drive home, like Classic Mike, you can go ahead and follow me, the Extra Point, on Spotify and Patreon. So that's where I'm at. And again, would love to get a subscription. I'm doing custom, everything's Dynasty, but we're doing custom trade plans right now. So if you're in a Dynasty league and you want a league breakdown, or you're looking at, hey, what should we do? We did a whole show last night on trades. We did an hour and 12 minutes just on trades, and they all came from people that we play with in the league. So jump onto YouTube, go ahead and give me a follow and a subscribe there, the Extra Point.
There you go. Nice. So we had when we were talking about those late round guys that we were trying to find, we had Vince pop in, and he goes, "Oh, there you go."
I put a little extra letter in Extra Point, but you guys get
There you
it.
go.
The link's good still. The link's good.
Yeah. Branding. Got to work on the branding, brother.
Right. My bad.
So Vince was asking, or basically saying, Khalil Herbert is a guy that he likes late, whether he's cut or traded. Dude is just going to get it done when his number is called. Another guy he mentioned was Kobe Parkinson. He's not a bad pick. I think that it's going to be David Allen, but I could be wrong.
Davis Allen, yeah, could be.
There we go, Davis Allen. I think it could be Davis Allen. They got him a little bit more involved. I understand Kobe is a two-way player, and he tends to play, do well. But for me, I think it's going to be Davis Allen over in LA. But that's just me.
I want to go back on that Herbert take real quick though from Vince because I like
Sure.
it. He's actually somebody that was just a comment before, but yeah,
okay.
He's someone that I'm taking a lot of in best ball, and I think it's just me betting on the player.
Okay.
Because a team that's trading for him is probably going to use him.
Going to need him,
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I could see him going to Dallas. I think everybody could see him going to Dallas, right? It's a committee, right? Dowdle and Zeke, and I think Deuce Vaughn's there, and who the hell else knows is there. But and then so that's an immediate need that's like comes to mind, right?
Yeah.
And then you think about when we get into week 6, week 7, when injuries start happening, like you don't know who's going to need a guy.
Kareem
at that point.
Hunts and those guys. Those guys are kind of gone. We haven't heard anything about the Dalvin Cooks, the Kareem Hunts, the Leonard Fournettes. Like those guys are kind of done now, and we're on to this new this new layer of guys. We're kind of stuck in this weird in between spot. So guys like Khalil Herbert could see themselves getting run once we
Herbert
see
could wind up Herbert could wind up on the Chargers,
right?
If Kamani Vidal's not good and J.K. Dobbins isn't healthy, or Gus, that's
right.
There's question marks to all three of those guys. You know what I mean? Like there's some teams. Do you want
Jonathan Taylor goes down and it's Trey
Don't
Sermon and
speak
who?
that into existence.
Please do not speak.
That's a name actually that I've been kind of targeting late here in best balls. Little Trey Sermon, just in case.
Man, don't. So. If for any reason he's unavailable, that's what we say.
So famous Jay was saying Drake May is a player whose wide receivers have risen in ADP recently, but May's ADP keeps remained the same. Yeah, I've seen that too. A lot of guys. Who do you guys think is who is the one in New England?
Go ahead, Rasta.
Demario Douglas, man. That's who I'm drafting.
Okay.
If I'm drafting anybody in New England right now. Obviously Polk's exciting. You got Javon Baker there, of course, as well too.
Yeah.
But honestly, the second player,
there, right?
What's that?
Is that who? Oh, Juju, yeah.
Juju's still there.
Oh, Juju. I'm done with Juju.
I'm just saying.
He was there last year and he still didn't do nothing. I think they've drafted these guys for a reason.
I'm just saying he's there.
No, I know. Good take. But also too, what was I gonna say? That's what it was. So I'm drafting Demario Douglas first, and then the second guy from New England I'm drafting, besides maybe Ramondre, but if we're talking pass catchers, is Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's Douglas, it's Henry. If I'm taking anyone from New England, because I'm not investing in a New England player where Ramondre's going, so my New England shares are basically split between Douglas and Henry.
So I see it very similarly. I do see Jalen Polk having the opportunity to be the guy, but it's 1A, 1B between him and Douglas for me. Okay. I think Hunter Henry could have a nice uptick. I'm out on Ramondre. I was actually thinking about next week, guys. I think I'm in a couple of modes, but I'm getting into that like running back dead zone showtime. That could be a topic next week because I've been thinking about it a lot. So my point is, I don't know.
I've been thinking of actually doing a running back green zone show. Yeah, because it seems like there's a chunk in this draft where those wide receivers used to go is now replaced by those running backs. But
some of them. I mean,
I need to get on that show with you.
We do both sides
to get that done.
It's like 7, 8, 9. Yeah.
But go ahead.
But my point was like, where is the running back dead zone this year, and who's in it, and what does it look like? So, it's
Stevenson's the end of it.
I was like, no, I think it literally happens after. Like to me, the running back dead zone starts. What's it called? Basically, after like Gibbs and Saquon, that's my the dead zone happens like literally in the third. Like that's why I said earlier, I'm taking a running back and wide receiver in rounds 1 and 2.
Yeah,
like I have to have those two because anytime I don't do that, I just don't like my team.
The ceiling is significantly lower. Yeah, it's hard. I'm
actually Mostert in this draft. Mostert's my dead zone after that.
Mostert.
I'm an anchor RB to the fullest, man.
Oh, it's 7-11. It's coming out, going in.
And speaking of which, actually, in my Scott Fishbowl round 21, I just drafted Jacoby Brissett.
Nice.
Yeah. I think I took Jacoby Brissett in the league actually recently as well because I had needed him for something. Yeah.
Yeah.
was like, just in case.
Oh, I took it in our charity league.
Oh, there you go.
Because remember, I got everyone.
Oh, nice.
Don't get me
Yeah.
started.
Very nice. All right, so where are we at here? You got any more things you see there in the chat?
Justin Jefferson with one arm or Christian McCaffrey with one foot.
Oh, I seen that.
funny.
Yeah, I'll take Jefferson with one hand though,
I'll
for
take
sure.
Jefferson with one hand. Yeah, you need both. You need both to run.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't get around that. That was a pretty easy one.
Yeah.
Ethan saying you got to run, man. Fun hanging out. Always appreciate it, Ethan, man. Appreciate you, my guy. And of course, we'll always be talking, man, for sure. Appreciate you hanging out. We'll be getting out of here soon. So what else we got in here? Anything else you see in there you guys want to get to before we end this thing out?
Vince goes, Moss and Mostert exceed their ADP significantly. Ford and Gus and Spears are solid values. Oh, for sure.
I love all the names in this this except for Moss, even though I drafted him in this. This one I think is like probably my second share of Moss that I've literally drafted even in the mock. But yeah, I'm usually more a Chase Brown guy, actually. What do you guys feel on that? Real quick. Sorry.
I like all these guys except for Moss. I'm pretty high on everybody else. I think Moss, I think Chase Brown's going to ultimately get more play moving forward. If you watched him last year, he just has more burst in when he gets the ball. Once he gets the ball, he's off and he's solid on the outside. They just got who'd they get on the outside on outside tackle? Who did they get? They got not Collins. They just got a really good left tackle or right tackle or both. And either way, all I'm trying to say is they're going to work it out to the outside. Chase Brown is a lot more effective. I think Zach Moss is going to be the 1-2, downhill runner. He'll get maybe a goal line here or there. I don't mind him, but I just think later on in the season, I think Chase Brown will take over that particular role.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you at all. I think in redraft, honestly, I'm probably out if I can be.
Yeah.
If I have to, you know what I mean? Like I'm in a bind, then I would just take Moss because he is, as of right now, the starter. And like I said, we just need to evaluate the first 4 weeks to kind of figure out where we're at, and then we can trade or pivot. But I mean, like in best ball, sure, give him to me if I've got a Burrow stack and some good correlation. And actually in best ball, I'm in on Brown there because I agree with you, Mike. I think it's a better setup. You can get him later. You can get him as your RB3 if you have a Mixon. Mixon. If you have a Burrow Chase connection and correlation there. So yeah, it's hard, but in redraft, I'm with you, Rasta, man. If I can go get one of the big five and just anchor it down, then that's what I'm doing. And then I'll look at the value of receivers later on. I mean, there's still just good ones.
I mean, to be fair, wide receiver is wide open. You could pretty much grab guys that with value much later and still be okay. I mean, where did DK go here? DK went
312 at the turn, 3-4 turn.
312 at the turn. I mean, honestly, he's one of the guys I would be targeting a little later. My guy that I picked up, Deebo Samuel, like those types of guys you can pick. Even Waddle dropped to the third. So for one of the, you get all these particular.
I got Waddle, baby.
I mean,
time on Waddle.
Cooper Kupp. I mean, he's undervalued. Well, I wouldn't say undervalued, but he's being undervalued because of Puka Nacua. Like these are some guys that you can grab near the end, and you can build at your running back position, like you were doing with Hall, and get these, good starters. I mean, I went heavy RB early, and
I was just going to say, Classic. I think you're a good example of what we're talking about because. We don't actually. I promise you, if you're still hanging around, Mike didn't know this was coming. He didn't draft his team, so to tee it up here, it's perfect actually. But because we're not going to talk on Monday about generally the teams that we draft, right? There's a good chance to talk about yours real quick since it's the end of the show, and then you guys can go through Rafi's team and Brocal's team because they also started RB heavy and give your thoughts there as long along the lines with Kravitz there at the 101. So, but Mike, starting with Bijan and Kyron, boom, and like. Okay, so there's your risk. Oh, I didn't get one of the big receivers, but you come back with Debo, T. Higgins, Deontay Johnson, and Keon Coleman to give you a solid 4 for your 3 spots. Josh Allen as a heavy, okay, maybe I'm going to replace some of that top end receiver points with Josh Allen's rushing upside and stack him with Coleman.
Yep.
So now where you're getting RB3s and 4s, which we don't love, they are who they are, but Yeah, it's a good way to build. It
love
can be
Ford.
done, but you have to, like you said earlier,
You have to
Rasta,
be
you gotta have a
smart about
picture in your mind of like who's around me because I don't want to get sniped 6 times again if I'm going for a
Right.
specific build.
Well, and to be fair, I was trying at this point near like the 10th round, I was trying to grab a guy like Brian Robinson, who Vince took him again. But at the same time, I was ready with Jerome Ford. Like
Yeah.
I had these two guys queued up, and I'm like, hey, I don't care which one falls, I'm grabbing one of them. And then my other question, my other part of it was between Pollard and Spears. Now, I was going to ask you guys, who do you guys like better in that particular, offense? I understand it's not the ideal offense to pick from, but these are two solid running backs for this particular team. How do you guys see the split going for this particular group?
Go ahead, Phil. You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll make it short because
We're probably
I
going to
actually
agree, but what else is next?
I see yeah, right. I see it as this year's version of Jalen Warren and Najee Harris from last year. And if you give me just 1 second, I will tell you. I
Very
should
well
know this
said.
off the top of my head, but I've forgotten a bit. RB20
Harris got
for
1,000
Najee
yards.
Harris,
Yeah.
and I think Warren was like RB28 or something. So RB25. So to finish 5 spots different, to not have that many differences at the end of the year, I think Spears and Pollard both probably are within 15 to 20 fantasy points of each other. I think they're probably within 100 yards of each other, and they're probably within pretty close range of targets and receptions as well as attempts. You know what I mean? Like that's it. It's 50, 51, 49.
Okay. Well, and that's unfortunately that's how I keep viewing it as well.
Yeah.
But it's trying to figure out who might actually have the ability to take over and be the 60-40 guy. And they paid Pollard.
I'll go into my answer. Oh, go ahead.
But they drafted Spears, and
This
I don't
coach
know.
this coach didn't.
Well, that was where I was.
Callahan's, yeah.
That's where I was heading, is that Callahan didn't do it that way. Callahan was probably one of the better offensive lineman coaches. So I'm a little bit, I'm pleased with that aspect of it. So I don't mind grabbing one of these two from the backfield. They both are contributors. They can both catch the ball. They can both handle a decent workload. So for me, I don't understand why they went that route, but I'm happy with going with a guy like Pollard, even if it is a round prior to Spears. But I'm in between on these two, and I've been trying to figure out where to go if I'm in this particular scenario again.
Yeah. Where are you at, Rasta?
So for me, I'm Spears in this backfield. I just feel like I think they're almost like they're duplicating. It almost feels like a Kyron and Corum kind of type backfield where they have two guys that are basically similar, have the same skill set, so that if one of them does fall out, it's not going to be so much of a difference. But what I come back to is the fact that we saw how explosive Spears was and how they used him like last year. Again, I know it's different team and scheme, but like we saw him flash, and he was taking literally probably a first ballot Hall of Famer off the field. Like the Titans have never had a running back that was good enough in that offense with Mike Vrabel to take Derrick Henry off the field, regardless of his pass catching, lack in pass catching.
They were down in games. Their offensive line was horrible.
And I think it's still going to be the same thing this year.
I agree.
So to me, I see Spears. He had that 2-minute drill offense last year. He's on the field when they're going no huddle and try to speed things up. They're not afraid to give him the ball on the ground, and they're not afraid to target him, and especially in the red zone. It seemed like he was constantly getting targets within that, like from the 30 and 20, he was getting looks.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I like that take. I like that take. It makes sense. It's like I see the path. I think the question I still have that I would ask you, right, is like, without an injury, how is he going to get the role? Do you know what I mean? Like that's the ceiling.
Well, I mean, he still had
the ceiling and the floor are very small. It's a very small gap between the ceiling and the floor. I think it's insanely safe, but you're just basically taking the law of averages, right?
Well, I mean, I think we saw basically. They tried to give playing time to Pollard or to Deuce Vaughn last year because Pollard wasn't really doing what they wanted to do. So I think there is a chance that he can earn that higher role.
Okay.
Even without it. And again, he had
Pollard
70 targets. He had 70 targets last year.
I know.
So
but
I could
Pollard
see
did
him
it
getting
with
about that
Zeke.
same thing again. So again, that's
Well-
just my feeling on it, and
But also
that's just how I
remember,
feel.
just remember, Dallas's line, if you had to compare the two, is 30 times better.
Sure.
Even though they're bottom one tier, they're still way better than what the Titans have currently. On top of that, he did handle his business with Zeke there, and was actually a top, wasn't he top 10?
Well, yeah, he was better when Zeke was there,
He
which
was
is
better
why
when
we
Zeke
all
was
thought
there.
he was going to explode last year.
So
Yeah.
I
And then it
think
just
if
did
anything,
not happen.
Yep.
But Spears can help him in that way too. Even though they're close to the same back, they can still feed off of each other, but not eat too deep into one another to make it where either is affected. So
And this is why they basically go back to back in drafts, right
and
here.
agree.
Yeah, and it's Najee and Warren. That's why I said
Love
it.
it,
And
love
Najee
it.
and Warren are a little further apart, but they're still basically at the top or the bottom of a round. I mean, it's hard because
Split backfields, man.
it's split
2024.
backfields, and you just don't see it. You know, the ceiling's just super low. So like the simple answer, I didn't want to say because this was good content, but like simple answer is I'm not touching it.
Right. I mean,
Like,
yeah,
just
that's-
stay away.
yeah.
Like just because you just don't want to deal with that headache.
See, and I agree with you to a point. I just we're talking about a running back dead zone, and that's probably why, because there are too many people that are there's too many conversations about who's going to be that particular person. Jerome Ford, Nick Chubb. Those two guys, it's going to be Ford for the first, at least 4 weeks, because, I can almost guarantee he stays on the pup. So you at least have Jerome Ford for that guy for a short period, and Deontay Foreman, who are, he's being involved. Then you have other guys, other teams with like Eckler and Brian Robinson, who's going to have that. I understand age is a thing and it can, work in someone's favor, but they're both going to be used in one way or another. Trey Benson in Arizona with James Conner, Zach Charbonnet with Ken Walker,
just list off all the other running backs on Shimi's team there.
Well, but
Yeah, I mean, that's
honestly, that's
it,
kind of
right?
where I was going. Is I'm just reading off his list because it makes sense.
So this is where the conversation. So this is
Perfect example.
My last thoughts on this just is give me the player that's potentially the highest upside at that point.
Yeah.
Like I would take Trey Benson here because now it's a question of like, all right, I just know what I've seen and where at what point there's always sections in each of these drafts where you want to insert the rookies, right? Like where's Marv on this board? Marv's already at the 204. So as we get to the next phase of the draft, okay, but I'd rather get this guy, or is it time for the next phase of rookies? And give me Trey Benson over all those guys because number one, James Conner's going to miss games. Two, we like the offense there, and he's younger, he's more explosive, and I'm not drafting him to be my RB2. I'm drafting him to be the best handcuff that I can get, right? The best clear path from a backup to playing time. That's not David Montgomery. So, yeah.
And you know what? The other part for that, just to circle back for the Titans, because I just looked it up because I wanted to be sure. They ended up trading for Watson from Cleveland, which he's a backup. J.C. Leatham as well. They drafted him. They also drafted he's a solid first round pick from for the Texans or for the Titans. So they have the ability to build that line back up to make it where it can be very effective for them. I'm higher on Will Levis than most people. I think he has a year. I think this year can be a year that he could do well. They gave him decent pieces with DeAndre Hopkins, with Calvin Ridley. On top of that, I understand they're not going to be world beaters, but they're definitely worth investing in, especially in fantasy. I think he's almost undervalued because he can run the ball and he chooses to at many points. So I like him, but not, he's not, I'm not drafting him as my QB1.
No,
he's definitely a good backup.
No, yes. Safety first. No.
What's up, Ron?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
My
man.
guy, Ron. What up, Ron?
What up?
How's
Ron?
it going, man? I miss you so much. I hit him up on the DM too. I hope you're doing well, man. You and the fam. Appreciate you checking us out again, man. Coming back. You might have been here watching us a little bit, but appreciate the comment. And thanks on the beard, man. I'm giving it a try, man. Appreciate it. Oh, I'm so excited to see him. Let's go. Oh, there he is. All right. So we've gone a little past already, man.
Nice.
So let's get this. You guys ready to close this thing out?
Do it.
Yeah.
Of course. All right, man. So let's get back to this view here. Phil, of course, we'll give you a quick moment again. Just tell the folks where they can find you, what you got coming up here. Let's not remove you. I'm trying to give you a full screen. We'll go the opposite way. Go ahead, my guy.
Yeah, appreciate it, brother. Well, first of all, always thanks for having me, guys. I mean, obviously we work together a ton, but always good to be on the main show. And then looking forward to getting you guys on to the Extra Point for the first time. So the Extra Point every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern. You can catch that on YouTube. You can follow along at Spotify and on Patreon. Jump over to the page, The Extra Point on YouTube. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, and look forward to having you in the show and in the comments next Thursday.
For sure. And of course, we got to throw some love to our boy Kendall over at the Fantasy Football Tavern. So if you guys are interested in looking to enjoy some hot takes and cold beers, make sure you guys tune into Kendall, man. He's running mock drafts as well. Mock Draft Fiend, loves his Dynasty takes here. He's all about value, trade value, man. So make sure you guys go support these guys. Our new additions here this season to the Get Right Fantasy Network, man. They're great guys. They know their stuff. So if you guys want to keep taking down your leagues, man, make sure you guys tune in, get subscribed to all of us, and coming out and let's take down some championships this year. So with that said, anything else we got? I mean, of course, use our promo code, Get Right for Underdog. Got to say that at least once real quick, but we'll throw them some more love. We got plenty more stuff coming. We'll be doing best balls on Wednesday. So there we go. All right, man. So there we go. Good stuff. So yeah, anybody else got anything else? Are we ready to close this thing out?
Man.
Classic, you got the outro queued up.
Yes, sir.
Let's do it, man. Let's get out of here. Appreciate you
Enjoy the
guys from
weekend.
all of us over here at Get Right Fantasy, man. We're getting so close to football, man. Getting points actually in our lineup, so I can't wait. For Dustin, for Frank, for Tycoon, for my boy Classic here, of course, Phil, our boy Kendall, all of us here from Get Right, myself. Have a good weekend. Be safe, and we'll see you guys here on Monday when we break this thing all down. Classic, take us out.
Wanted to write fantasy.